Okay, good morning. This is day number 155 of making little videos to describe a day or thought in the life of a schizophrenic. My name is Dominic. In day 17 of these videos, I express why I call myself a schizophrenic rather than targeted individual. In day 45, I give the reason why I make these videos in the first 3-minute intro of that video. And on day 138, I give some idea about the symptoms I experience as schizophrenic. They're not all the symptoms. I don't believe I am diseased or crazy, but that I am subject to a cognitive war, what NATO terms cognitive war, and what the Joint Chief of India's intelligence terms as neurostrike weaponry. And I give some little ideas or thoughts every day. I was reading out of books, but I'm now kind of just giving feedback from, in general, from the public or from my life or whatever, and just give some overview of a day of schizophrenia. And all right, so I was going to start off today talking about um, Frank Lloyd Wright in a book that I'm reading on uh, a book of unusual knowledge. Uh, it talks about how Frank Lloyd Wright built. He. I thought this was kind of an interesting thing, so I'm just sharing it. It's like it says it's a book of unusual knowledge, so I assume not everybody knows a lot about this. But Frank Lloyd Wright designed 1,000 structures in his lifetime. That's a lot of structures to design. And he built 450, 400, and he built 400 of them. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. Is like, the idea that we do all this kind of sometimes we do like unnecessary things. Like just think about all the planned obsolescence and the things that we make in general, just so that they can turn a profit perpetually, so that we can so that people that run the businesses can survive. And does it need to be that way? And I don't know. I started thinking that a little bit, and then I started thinking like, here's somebody that one person was able to be part of 400 building projects over his lifetime, and that's, I mean, what is that? If he lives, I don't know how old he was when he died, but let's see, average age is like 75, 78. Uh, he would have done six a year, or something like that, or 5 or 6 a year. And so, if everybody was trained in, well, not everybody, but if a lot of more people were trained in those endeavors, and we had an economic system which afforded them the ability to produce that kind of thing, we could be building a lot of structures for our society. And so, and very good structures, because he's a world-renowned architect. So I don't know, it made me think about the untapped potential of our life our lives whatever. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. And he did it in within, I guess, the system. I don't know what his background is or anything like that. So yeah, there was a house that called the Robbie house that was a 5757, and I thought that was like a reference to maybe my schizophrenia program, but I don't know, so I just share that out. John Hinkley was also from Dallas. Okay. Also in that book that I read, a book of unusual knowledge, it talked about, you know, Oswald obviously was from Dallas, Texas, and now John Hinkley, I guess, learning is was from Dallas, Texas, and that's kind of weird that two assassins would have been from. I guess it's not weird if you think about it, but two assassins were from potential assassins, because Hinkley didn't succeed, were from Dallas, Texas, and so that's kind of that's. I mean, that's interesting. So just sharing that information, maybe somebody who's watching doesn't know that, and it can help them or something. So yeah. All right, and my program for a lot of years, I was severely sleep deprived. and it went on like that for years and years. And I started thinking, like, I wonder what the sleep deprivation, the severe sleep deprivation that I went through during the 20 teens and stuff. I wonder what it did to me long term physically. I wonder if I have any sort of physical. I, I've I don't know if I've ever really recovered from that kind of thing. I get sleep deprivation now a little bit because the dreams wake me up at like 2 and 3 in the morning a lot, and I do enjoy the dreams. It's like living a third of your life more than just sleeping, but maybe it's detrimental to the other 2/3 by not allowing you to recover and sleep fully as you may be doing otherwise. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's a trade-off. I'm not making the trade; it's just happening to me. So I don't know where the dreams come from. I don't know if they're intergalactic and stuff, or why they're waking me up at 3 in the morning all the time. Supposedly, it's like a bewitching thing. Uh, some sort of I've because Pete Hegseth has his name as Hex Seth. I started thinking like maybe these are like Republican witches or something. I don't have anything against witchdom because I mean, the history of witches is that they are like they're born. It's the name for wisdom. I know there's like a different history, so I'm not. But it's it could be any type of power like that can be corrupted. At their various points in time and stuff. And so I definitely don't. I'm definitely not excited by some Pete Hegseth putting a hex on me or something. Okay, so yeah, I wonder what sleep deprivation did, if it maybe caused me severe damage and stuff. So I wondered. A little later, after wondering that, I started getting pain in my chest, like a severe, like kind of not severe, but a pain in my chest that felt like it was electronically induced by a weapon. And so that happens from time to time with me. I get chest pains, and I've been to the doctor to get checked out, and they say I'm fine every time, and I don't go anymore, so I just let it happen. Uh, but yeah, I felt like somebody was kind of poking me or squeezing or doing something like that, and so what we know is that there are weapon systems that can do that kind of thing, and so I think they were maybe trying to get me to stop talking on here. But then I started thinking about it. Am I better off not talking because they're building concentration camps? I'm laughing, but it's like, sometimes you don't know what to do. And I guess talking is better than not talking. So I talk. I'm going to start a caloric deficit of 500 rather than 300. And I'm hoping, some of it is born out of vanity. Uh, I could never be on TV. Not that I would ever be like I have a chance to be on TV or anything, but look, they tried to turn me into something, but my face doesn't stay the same every day. My body doesn't. I mean, I'm because of the sleep deprivation and just in general the electromagnetic effects and all the various energy I receive from people in the public and as a schizophrenic and stuff. It affects you it affects you emotionally and psychologically and electronically and bioelectrically and so it affects your physical appearance. So so like I could some days on here like I look fine or whatever, and some days on here I look like I don't look good. So I don't think I could be on TV because if you ever notice the people on TV, they most of the time most of the people on TV look very similar day after day. It's like I don't know, it's like an industry standard or something. And so, yeah. But I'm gonna try to do a 500 deficit, and if I feel like if I do the 500 deficit, the weight will come off. So it's a vanity. I see myself on here, and I start thinking, all right, tried to lose your weight or whatever, and so that's what I'm gonna do. It's the Oscars tonight, and so I only watched two movies this year: One Battle After Another and Hamnet, and they were both really great movies. I thought One Battle After Another was kind of brilliant. Hamnet was a very powerful piece of art, and I prefer One Battle After the other to Hamnet, but I think like the Jessie Buckley, her performance in Hamnet, and the I think Paul Mescal, I think is his name. He had a really good performance, and so I could see that one doing well at the Oscars. But they're all nominated, so they already all did well to start with. So those are the two Oscar movies I've seen this year. I did not see Sinners because it didn't seem like something I would like. My dad said it was like a slasher movie, and I'm not really into slasher movies and stuff, but it sounded like interesting symbolism and stuff like that. So it's nominated for like 16 different awards, so I guess it was pretty good. And I did not see Marty Supreme because that Kevin O'Leary guy on TV, he was like talking about like how he loved smacking Marty Supreme's bare ass, and he just got really into it, and it was like really weird coming from him, and so I was like, I don't think I want to watch that, and so I didn't want to watch that. I mean, it was like he was overly excited by it, and I was like, it's kind of bizarre, and uh, I was supposed to be Timothy Chalamet a lot. I don't think I ever said anything about ballet and opera, but maybe I did in my head. But why can't a guy not like ballet or opera? Does he have to? It's like a dictatorship of ballet and opera. He was disrespectful to the art, so maybe I guess get on his case or whatever. But I don't know. I like opera singers. I don't know if I would be that interested in going to an opera at an opera house. Maybe I would. I enjoy opera singers and stuff. My parents all my dad, not my parents, but my dad grew up listening to opera. My grandpa was tried to do sing opera, and so I do like opera. So that's why I don't think I ever really said that, but maybe I did. And I like I say, I enjoy opera, and ballet is very tough, and so uh, that's cool. It's just sometimes I guess I'm thinking about it, coming from somebody that's not really like an artist or whatever. I start thinking like it's a little bit haughty, but maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know a lot about it. That's that's my thought on it, and I'm sure it's very nice, and it's so I don't really dislike ballet or opera, and I think more arts we do the better. So just because one particular art form is not for everybody doesn't mean it's not good for society. And okay, yeah, Swalwell is the front runner, and he has the best chance to win for the Democratic Party nomination in or the Democratic governorship if we win the governorship. And people need to like drop out, and I'm for Swalwell at this point, but it's kind of with a grain of salt because Swalwell said that he wanted to uh, bar Russian students from the country or kick Russians out of the country during the Ukraine war, Russia-Ukraine war, and I'm not for that at all. And so with a big grain of salt that I vote for him, and I found this out later after he was running. I wasn't that too into him before, but he'd be better than a Republican, and he's not the worst Democrat that you could think of, and so. Uh, yeah, so he's got some positive qualities or to him, I think. And I really don't think that Tom Steyer's tactic of talking about his residents was is gonna fly, and it shouldn't because Swalwell is a congressman for the state of California for a district in California, so he lives in DC. And I really don't think residents should be an issue for a congressman, and so I'm not really for that tactic by Tom Steyer. I think it's a stupid tactic, and I think it's a disingenuous tactic. So I was disappointed in that, and I was originally going to vote for Tom Steyer, and I actually think he's probably the best suited to be governor, but I'm going to vote for the front runner at this point, and so I'm probably going to vote for Swalwell because I'm not going to vote for somebody just to register 14% while we lose the governorship to some sort of fascist. Does that sound smart? No. Okay, so I'm gonna vote for Swalwell at this point, going forward, or whoever's in the lead, whoever's the front runner at the end of the day is who I'm gonna vote for. All right, so Marianne Williamson made a comment on her. This is a thought that I had today, and she said the accumulation of unconstitutional fascistic moves from Project 2025 to Doge to suppression of the Epstein files to the ICE raids to the techno bro dominated oligarchy to the taking over of the media landscape to the illegal war in Iran. We're not inching towards authoritarianism. We're in the middle of a slow motion coup. And I thought that was all appropriate things to cite. But where I come from, it's like seems like it's like an experiment, or I don't know if you can call it a coup. Maybe it's a joint coup because the Democratic Party ran 20 people against Bernie, and they all coalesced to stop a progressive movement in the party. And then they ran an 80-year-old, knowing this was on the back burner for the This was coming up for the Republicans. I don't think that they didn't with mind reading satellites and all that stuff that the government has and everything. You can't and you can't say something. There's not espionage between the parties and stuff. So if you're telling me that you can't tell me that they don't know what was coming forward with the Republicans in this coming election, and why would you run an 80-year-old at that point? It's like you handed the government over to Trump, and then I started thinking like maybe Trump is a bad cop to usher in austerity and war to bad things that the people don't like, and then they can distance themselves later from it. But maybe that was like agreed upon that like this is what we need to do as a collective power source. We need to have a war in Iran, and we need to have austerity, and then we'll come in and we'll backtrack from that to so many degrees, and we'll land right here in the middle or something. And so that's what I was thinking. I don't know that I'm right about that. Well, I kind of do know that they they didn't it didn't not anticipate what was happening with the Republicans. So they knew this coup was coming, supposed coup, and they ran an 80-year-old for president in the middle of that who was going to cognitively decline and everything. And so I don't think that was by accident. And so it's part of some strategy, and we all have to be stupid and like pretend not to notice it or something. And I just hope it's not to go back to the politics as usual, even though I definitely desire politics as usual. And it was almost like an Overton window switch over. And you're like, man, we'll take politics as usual over this fascism. And so maybe they were trying to move the Overton window back over to a desire for politics as usual. So hopefully out of this becomes like a jujitsu move where we like we turn things around as this goes on, but that's what I'm hoping. So, all right, I'm gonna stop here, and that's my thought today, and that's my life in schizophrenia. Some people are reading my mind and they know all this, and some people are not. I guess I don't know if everyone is. Okay, goodbye.